This is Joey. She's a transfer student from Tokyo who moved to the village because of her parents' job. Sadly, at her new school, her classmates bullied her a lot. One day, Joey noticed her shoes were gone from her locker. She quickly realized it was the bullies who had taken them. Not long after, a boy named David came up to her. Out of everyone in class, David was the only one who treated her kindly. He asked her why she was still at school so late. Not wanting to trouble anyone, Joey just said she was waiting for someone. Later, Joey went to the forest, where she found the bullies who had stolen her shoes. There were 7 of them, 3 boys, Steve, Ronnie, and Bob, and 4 girls, Julie, Jane, Annie, and their leader, Jess. But unlike the others, Jess never actually bullied Joey herself. She just stood by and watched her friends do it. The bullies threw Joey's shoes into the mud and shoved her into the mud too. They hurled stuff at her and called her names. They were doing all this because they thought Joey had stolen David away from Jess. After they finally left, Joey went home. When she got there, her little sister, Rihanna, cried and hugged her the moment she saw what kind of shape Joey was in. Joey's parents couldn't stand to see her like that, so they hugged her and Rihanna tightly. The following day, Joey and her dad went to talk to her homeroom teacher about the bullying. The teacher, Miss Rose, just said to Joey to keep going and not cause any trouble. She said Joey was going to graduate in a month anyway, and the school was going to close for good after that, since no new students had signed up. Joey and her dad had no choice but to just go along with what the teacher said. When Joey came back to class, she saw that someone had carved "Just Die" on her desk. To make matters worse, Steve actually tripped her dad on purpose, causing him to fall down the stairs. The bullies put a goat's head in Joey's desk on purpose. Joey was too scared to sit, so she had to stand the whole class. When Joey got home, she found out that her dad hurt his back after Steve kicked him with a shoe that had a thumbtack on it. He didn't want his daughter to go through the same thing, so he decided she didn't have to go to school. He hoped to stop her from getting bullied again. After 3 days, Joey got a fever. The school found out about Joey's being sick, and the bullies didn't have anyone else to pick on, so they were bored. Rochelle, a student, was then asked to go visit Joey and had to do what they told her to. When Rochelle got to Joey's house, she asked how he was doing in a nice way. Joey was happy that one of her classmates still cared about her, but then Rochelle randomly asked to borrow a cassette from her for some reason. Then she whipped out her phone to snap a pic of Joey. Joey was totally confused and started to think about what was going on. Rochelle eventually admitted that she only showed up because the bullies made her. She told Joey to go back to school because she was afraid the bullies would pick on her if she kept skipping classes. Rochelle's worst nightmare happened. Joey didn't want to go to school, so the bullies went after her instead. She got a haircut after being trapped in a locker. She just had to let them treat her like a plaything. After a lot of nerve, she finally asked them if they wanted to be friends, so she wouldn't end up like Joey. As long as they were cool with being her friend, she was fine with taking the insults and jokes. She went so far as to come up with a sneaky plan to make them into thinking she wanted to be friends. The next day, Rochelle showed up with a gas can, planning to set Joey's house on fire. What's even more messed up is that the bullies fully supported her idea and were going to join in, but Jess decided to bail out, unlike the rest of them. Rochelle was bummed out because she really wanted Jess, who was super intimidating, to notice her. Joey and Rihanna were having a great time walking around the village. Later, they ran into David doing what he loved best, taking pictures. Joey left with David after dropping Rihanna off at her place. Before she left, Rihanna gave Joey a necklace that she made in school. Joey and David walked around the village. During the trip, the two of them exchanged stories. Meanwhile, the bully came to Joey's house and drenched the whole house with gasoline. They even soaked Joey's mother with gasoline, and Steve had the heart to burn her alive. Rihanna and her father saw that, so the bullies doused them in gasoline and caused the father and little Rihanna to burn to death.
Beneath the frost, where whispers fade, a quiet town where scars it made. Shadows linger, hearts betray. In bitter winds, innocence decays. They called me weak, a fleeting flame, but fires burn through snow and shame. A fragile bloom crushed to the ground. Now in the silence, vengeance resounds.
Joey and David got back home in the evening. After seeing her house on fire, Joey's heart was filled with fear. Joey wasted no time and went straight to her house. When she got there, she saw a bunch of people standing around outside, but her family wasn't there. It seemed like they didn't make it out of the fire. She was super mad. she couldn't help feeling bad about leaving her family at home. David quickly ran into the house and came back out with Rihanna, who was thankfully still alive, even though she had suffered really bad burns all over her body. Rihanna was then taken to the nearest hospital. She got really bad burns that could have been deadly, but luckily she made it through. Right before he passed away, her dad hugged her to shield her from the fire, sacrificing himself to keep her safe. David's amazing courage also shows that he was a great friend to Joey. Joey was chilling with her grandpa, hoping that Rihanna would wake up soon. After the incident, she had to stay at her grandpa's place. The next day, the bullies seemed worried, and even Julie and Jane cried. They were more worried about getting busted by the cops than feeling bad about torching Joey's family. They were really freaking out because Steve had burns on his fingers, and that could totally point the finger at them. Steve swore he didn't mean to burn them, even though it was clear they purposely went through with their plan. Rachel went up to Jess to tell her about what happened yesterday, hoping to make her proud. Instead of feeling proud, Jess reacted by stabbing Rachel's hand with a pencil. Even though Rachel was able to burn down Joey's house, she still couldn't win over Jess. In a nutshell, Jess is back home. Her dad wasn't on board with her plan to go to beauty school in Tokyo, so they had a little disagreement about it. Your dad said he's going to decide what happens to you in the future. This gave us an idea of why she bullied people at school. Maybe it's because she felt too smothered by her parents. As winter was getting closer, Joey decided to go back to school. Rumi and her friends were freaking out because if Joey found out they caused the fire that killed her family, they'd be locked up. Long story short, Julie, Jane, and Annie took Joey to the middle of the forest after school. They didn't say sorry, they owned up to setting her family on fire. After confessing to wanting to murder Joey to finally put an end to the case, since Joey and her whole family had already died. This really got to Joey. She couldn't stop thinking how they had the heart to kill her family who didn't do no wrong. Annoyed, angry, and fed up, Joey decided to kill them.
The snow it falls, a quiet veil, hiding sins a bitter tale. The branches weep, the roots to bleed, for promises crushed by their greed.
The next day, the students couldn't stop talking about Annie, Julie, and Jane disappearing. Steve was a little freaked out and scared when he heard the news. Not long after that, the cops showed up, which scared the bullies a lot. David asked Steve why he looked so worried when he saw the cops, since they were just there to investigate their missing classmates, not to arrest anyone. Steve was so relieved when he heard that. When he left early to chill at home, he ran into Joey unexpectedly on the way. His early trip home led to a disaster. Joey used a small knife to attack Steve. Steve fell and broke his leg. Joey didn't kill him at that moment, but rather let him die slowly. She left him lying with a broken leg and blood profusely gushed out of his body. This made Steve suffer every second. The heavy snowfall in winter then caused him to die slowly.
The final bell, it tolls for them, a reckoning, a bitter end. From ashes rise, a haunting flame, to carve the scars, to stake the claim. No mercy found, no peace to seek. The silent heart now screams, now speaks.
Joey didn't show up to school for a few days after Steve died, so David got concerned and went to check on her. Joey's grandpa said that Joey likes to sleep a lot, even though she's perfectly healthy. Also, her grandpa said he would bring Joey and Rihanna back to live in Tokyo. After finding out, David was bummed because he wouldn't get to see Joey's amazing face anymore. By the way, Rochelle was hanging out with her mom. Shortly after that, she got a call from Ronnie, who was hanging out with Bob. On the phone, Ronnie said that Steve had vanished and he thought they might have been killed. He also had a feeling that Joey was the one behind all of this. Then he told Rochelle to go check and see if he was mistaken while he intended to kill Joey. The next day, Joey took off from her grandpa's place while Ronnie and Bob kept an eye on her from afar. Ronnie tried to shoot her with his crossbow, but he totally missed. Joey figured out that she was being chased, so she ran into the woods and made Ronnie and Bob go separate ways to find her. Bob eventually caught her, but then Joey grabbed some pliers and pinched Bob's nose until it started bleeding. Ronnie tried to shoot his arrow again, but ended up headshotting Bob. Joey then cut open Ronnie's belly and stabbed him to death. She couldn't accept that the murderers of her family were still alive, so she intended to slaughter them all. The next day, David went to see Joey again, and this time, Joey was excited to meet him. They went for a walk and eventually got to a place. David wanted to make sure Joey had left. He told her he'd be really lonely if she left, but Joey didn't reply to him. She didn't say anything and just bit her lips so hard it bled. She didn't care about friendships or even romance anymore. David got it even without the answer. He said he'd take care of her, even if it meant being by her side, and he seemed genuine. After getting back home with David, Joey went to visit Rihanna. Sadly, Joey was getting really worried because her sister's condition hadn't gotten any better and she was in a lot of pain. At the same time, David was having a chat with his grandma. He was living with her alone because someone killed his parents. He told his grandma he's going to keep studying while working in Tokyo because he wants to be with Joey, even though Joey doesn't care about anyone anymore. That night, Rochelle went searching for the bullies and was horrified to find Julie, Annie, and Jane's bodies buried in the snow. Right then, she tried to call Jess, but Jess didn't really want to answer the phone. She was grossed out by Rochelle, even though Rochelle had done some wild stuff for her. Rochelle figured out that all her friends had died one by one, and she knew it was only a matter of time before the killer came for her too. Even when she was at home with her mother, she was so scared that she even threatened her own mother. The next day, Rochelle gave Jess another call. Fed up with the calls, Jess finally picked up. Rochelle wasted no time in telling her about what happened last night. She found our 3 friends' dead bodies. Rochelle was really scared and asked for help, but Jess didn't seem to care about her or their friends who had died. She figured it was all their fault and she didn't want to be part of it. She got all worked up because Rochelle tried to drag her into it. Rochelle was really upset to hear that. Later on, Jess went to meet up with Joey. They both met up at a bus stop. When Jess saw Joey, she quickly gave back the cassette that Rochelle had borrowed and mentioned that she had been taking good care of it. They didn't act like typical enemies, they actually checked up on each other. They were actually really good friends at one time. Joey always used to go on about Tokyo to Jess, and it made her really want to live there one day. As time passed, a new kid named David came to the school and instantly hit it off with Joey. He became really close to her, and they were always hanging out together, which caused some tension between Joey and Jess. Jess was not okay with this, so she basically let Joey's classmate make fun of him, thinking that it would make Joey want to reach out to her and be friends again. The problem wasn't that Joey was taking David away from Jess, it was more that Jess was getting jealous because Joey spent more time with David. Jess never joined her friends in bullying Joey because she still thought of Joey as a friend. But before she knew it, things went totally wrong. Jess apologized to her because she knew she was the one who caused everything.
In the hallway's cold and hollow gleam, a silent scream, a shattered dream. Books and fists, their laughter stings, a fragile heart bound by their strings. At home the echoes louder still, a crueler world that breaks the will. Family faces etched with pain, in shadows deep the tears remain. But even glass, when pressure grows, cuts sharper than the winter snows. In silent rage, a fire was born, a soul now twisted, bruised and torn.
Later, amid Jess's trip back home, Rochelle tried to stab her from behind. Jess managed to steer clear of it. Rochelle did that because Jess hurt her feelings by never appreciating all the things she did for him, and then had the audacity to go meet up with Joey instead. Seeing that Rochelle had fixed to kill her, Jess didn't have any choice but to fight her. Their fight was bloody. Rochelle managed to land a critical hit, and Jess was down. She ran from there, leaving Jess dying in the snow. At the same time, Joey received a phone call from David. When David found out that Joey was getting ready to go to Tokyo, he made a strong plea for her to stay with him, saying that he was also planning to move to Tokyo. Joey felt awkward, so she turned him down and hung up the phone. David was really bummed out about getting turned down. After the call, David lost his cool, and there was blood all over his hand. David then went up to his poor old grandma, who was all bloody and defenseless, showing that he had hurt her badly, and that's why his hand was all bloody. The reason was that his grandma didn't let him go to Tokyo for some big reasons. His grandma said he was too young to work in the city and didn't have anyone else to take care of him. Even though Grandma was in the worst shape she had ever been, she still found a moment to give David some good advice because she didn't want to lose her family again. After that, David confessed that he was the one who killed his parents. He said he really couldn't stand his dad when he was drunk and abusing his mom, so he ended up taking matters into his own hands and got rid of him. David killed his dad, and then he felt bad for his mom, so he killed her too to make sure she could be at peace. His grandma shed a few tears when he told her the truth. David's terrible actions, like killing his parents and torturing his grandmother, were a result of the pain he felt from watching his father abuse his mother for many years, which caused him to have mental health problems. In the end, his grandma passed away. The next day, all the parents who had lost their kids flocked to the school. The parents pointed fingers at the school and at Rose, their kid's homeroom teacher. But Rose didn't give a damn about whoever was causing all this. It was also found out that Rose got bullied by her classmates when she was still in school. The parents constantly pressuring her brought back those memories of being bullied. She totally freaked out and bolted from the scene, but she fell on the street right in front of a snowplow car, got crushed into pieces, and died in a horrible bloody accident. On the other hand, Joey was about to visit Rihanna, and at the same time, Rochelle was seen in the hospital and had covered Rihanna with gasoline, intending to set her on fire. Luckily, Joey arrived on time and stopped her. David came to see Joey later. David said her grandpa told him where she was. Not long after that, a nurse came up to Joey and said that her grandpa was really hurt. This made her anxious because her family was going through a tough time once again. She suddenly realized that David might be the one who tried to kill her grandfather. Considering his words, he might be the last one with her grandfather. Joey chased after David as he was about to go and made him show his hand. She noticed a bunch of scars on his hand, which confirmed that he was the one who attacked her grandpa. He finally spilled the beans and admitted he did it so they could live together. Just the two of them, showing that his crazy infatuation with Joey was out of control. Rochelle showed up and blamed Joey for everything, saying it was his fault for not going back to school and making the whole class bully her. Then she went on to say how she took out Joey's parents, how they were screaming, and how Rihanna was crying, begging for forgiveness. As Joey's family suffered, Rochelle and the bullies were laughing, which made Joey feel a whirlwind of emotions: anger, devastation, and sadness. And then she just went for it without thinking and ended up getting stabbed. David found out Rochelle was the one who set fire to Joey's family's house, so he took it upon himself to prove his love for Joey by dealing with the situation himself. After David brutally killed Rochelle, he smiled at Joey and hoped she would be impressed by him. But then Joey found a photo in David's bag that made her scream. It turns out that when the house was on fire, David didn't actually go in to help Rihanna. He was trying to take a picture of the burning bodies of Joey's family, but then he heard Rihanna's cries and had to save her. He was hoping Joey would fall in love with him. David wanted to explain the photo to Joey, but Joey just ignored him and pulled out the knife from her stomach. David got really mad because Joey wouldn't give him a chance, so he started attacking her. Then he told Joey to look at the camera and give a big smile. He totally freaked out like a crazy person. Just as he was about to snap the pic, Joey stumbled upon Ronnie's crossbow and shot it straight through the camera lens, stabbing David in the eye and killing him instantly. After all that happened, Joey tried to walk to meet Rihanna, but the blood continued to gush out of her body and her strength had gone completely.
But vengeance breeds an empty dawn. The wounds remain, no masks are gone. A fleeting moment, justice blind. No solace in the scars confined. The echoes fade, the snow descends. A hollow life, a bitter end. And as the world forgets my name, I vanish like a fleeting flame.
To make a long story short, There was a farewell ceremony at school, and surprisingly, Jess was rescued from that evening. She was hell-bent on going to Tokyo to make her dream come true, but Joey had to pass away because she didn't have the strength to pull through, leaving poor Rihanna all by herself.